Have you ever opened an HR data set and it felt like the data was fighting you back? Like extra spaces, broken formulas, missing values? Well, it happens to the best of us. Let me show you 5 quick Excel hacks that can clean, fix, and analyze your data in seconds. No drama, no stress. Personally, I use these hacks for handling payroll, exit, performance, and even recruitment data, and they instantly make my analytics cleaner and smarter.
Welcome back to HR Analytics and Rewards Lab. On this channel, we simplify HR analytics and rewards for professionals like you.
Here is my data set. Let's walk through the 5 hacks together. I like to start by cleaning my data set. So I'll start with the trim formula. I'm going to trim my column B, which is where my employee ID, my unique identifier is. It's important that you clean this so that when you try to move data to another sheet, maybe using VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP or your XLOOKUP, your data gives you the right information. For instance, look at this data set on another sheet with the employee ID. It's showing me that I have a missing value or something is incorrect. So I have to definitely clean employee ID. Now look at cell B5. In the formula bar, it shows that there's a space after my 4. But in the other sheet, there's no space after my 4. So that's why I'm having this error message and a return to me. So I'm going to clean B so that I can have good data sets and clean data sets. So I'm going to do equal to trim, a simple formula, use the tab function to select this particular cell you want to trim, in this case B2, and then I close the brackets and I hit enter, and I'm going to replicate it across board. Once I'm done, I'm going to copy it. If I don't copy and repaste, I'm still going to have the formulas. Can you see the formulas on the formula bar? So I'm going to copy and then paste this on the original set just to check that my formula worked. So look at cell C5 on the formula bar, there's no space anymore after my number 4. So it means that my formula works. So I'm going to copy this and repaste on the original position of the data set. So now I've copied it to be sure, no space after my 4. Then I delete where I had initially done the computation. If we check the other sheet, you see I no longer have returned NA data. It means that everything is correct and consistent and clean. Then moving on, the next hack for me is concatenate. A situation where I don't want the first name and surname separated so that my data set is not so broad, especially because I'm going to be working solely with my unique identifier, the employee ID. I might want to concatenate again. So I insert and I bring in the formula equal to concatenate and select using the tab function. Select the first name, which is cell C2, a comma right after it, a space again, a double quotation, space, double quotation, a comma again, and then you select the next cell you want to, which is D2, and then you close bracket and you enter. You can see that I have a concatenate. I repeat the same across board. For this particular, if you want to put a slash in between the name or a dash, it's pretty much easy. On the place where you have the double quotation mark in between them, you can just put the formula that you want and say, okay, slash. You see that the name has a slash. If you want a space after it, you put a space and you have it. If you want a space, you put a space and then enter, and then you have it. So whatever works for you. But in this case, we don't want a slash, we don't want a hyphen. So we are taking it back to what it used to, what it was, and enter. So that's how you concatenate. And I can decide to do away with the first name and surname because for this case, I no longer need them. Now, the next one would be the if error formula. Now, this works for me where I don't want any data to return empty, null, or just in error. So I would rather use it. For instance, I want to check the percentage of revenue versus target. So maybe I just do this divided by, that is cell G2 divided by cell F2, and then I put the percentage. Now, if I replicate this, you can see that I have a division error message showing me that my cell is incomplete, that my data is incomplete. But I don't want something like this. I want it to either report no data or to report something is missing, anything I want, I can do that. So all I just need to do is clean all of this and use the if error formula equal to if error, select the cell, which is revenue that we have used, divided by the F2, which is the target, comma, space. Now I want to say return it to say no data so that I can filter with no data in future. Then I put my quotation mark so that it says no data for me, no data. You can even put zero, it returns zero, but I don't like to use zero because it's numbers. Zero could mean something. So I'd rather use a text. So once I'm done, I close it and then I close the brackets and then I enter and I get my answer. Now see what happens in this case. It tells me no data. So in a case like this, I can filter with no data and will easily spot this. Imagine a large data set. This would really be useful for you as against just using the formula directly. I hope we are still together. The very next one we'll be talking about is correlation. So I use correlation to check for existing relationship. It just helps me explain relationships or see if there is any form of strength or direction of linear relationships between two variables. So in this case, I want to check if working extra hours really means that the employee is very good and scoring high in appraisal. So I'll use the correlation to just do a quick check. And now I'll just do equal to correlate, and then I'll select it and select my first array, which is the entire of column I, and I put a comma right after and then a space and select the next array, which is column J, where the appraisal score is, and then I simply just close the brackets. Now, what this simply means is that for correlation, the values are really between -1 and +1. +1 means perfect positive relationship. That is, as one goes up, the other goes up. And then a -1 means a perfect negative relationship, which is as one goes up, the other one goes down. Whilst 0 means no relationship. But it's important to note that correlation does not necessarily mean causation. Just because two things move together doesn't mean one causes the other. I'll give you a typical example. Higher engagement level may correlate with lower turnover, but maybe a third factor like leadership, strong leadership, is driving both. Again, an outlier, a few unusual cases might cause your correlation to be skewed. So you want to be careful. But this is just a rough hack that I would just check to say, oh, is it tilting towards a positive relationship or a negative relationship? So that's that on correlation. Now the other hack that we're going to do for today, and we'll end with that, is conditional formatting. It's one of my favorite hack. So I would say we go to conditional formatting. It's usually under the home function. Can you see conditional formatting here? And say, oh, I want a certain thing to happen. Maybe where I have duplicate values, it should highlight. Now select column B. I'm going to conditional formatting. I'm going to say highlight cell rules and select duplicate values and OK it. So in this case, it's already telling me that they are duplicate values. So I either choose to delete them or cross-check to say, oh, is it just the employee ID that is duplicate and every other variable is different? If I find out that every other variable is different, it means that the employee ID is wrong. One of them is wrong. But if I find out that everything on row 12 is the same thing on row 13, it means that it's a total duplicate. So I just delete one. So I don't just rush off straight to do delete duplicates. I actually verify and cross check to see, is it really a duplicate or an error. That's what conditional formatting will help you do. There are other beautiful things you can do with conditional formatting.
Just to put this out there are so many beautiful things you can do with this hack that were just discussed in this video. However, I just decided to stick with the basics, especially for conditional formatting. I think that we need a whole session to discuss and dissect conditional formatting. So if you like what we have just discussed here today, please subscribe to this channel for more HR analytics insights.